My ex-husband and I have two sons, ages 3 and 6, and a daughter, 10 months. We split up just over a year ago, and during proceedings, he got one weekend a month with our sons and no custody of our daughter. He has to drive to the house to get the boys on his weekends. Because sometimes I'm on work calls or dealing with a baby, and the boys always forget things at my place, we agreed that he could keep his key to the house so he could run in and grab stuff or come get the boys without disturbing me or the baby. 2 months ago, I found my ex's mother in my living room, playing with my daughter. I asked her how she got in, and she said that ex had given her his key so she could pick up the boys for him. I told her that as ex is meant to be the only person collecting the boys, I'd rather ex come for them in future. She said she understood and would relay my message, then took the boys to ex, and all was fine. A month later, she just let herself into my home to pick up the boys again. I was a lot sterner this time, saying this was my home and she couldn't just let herself in. She responded that this wasn't just my home, but also the home of her grandchildren, and it used to be her son's home, too, and she has a key, so she shouldn't need to request my permission to enter. When she left, I called my boyfriend, who then said he'd pick up a front door lock and come over and fit it if I wanted. I agreed, and within an hour the lock was changed and a latch was added. On Sunday, someone started knocking rapidly and forcefully on the front door. I saw it was my ex's mother, and she had my sons with her, so I let the boys in, and she began to tell me that her key wasn't working, so she'd need a new one. I said her key wasn't working because I changed the locks and she wouldn't be getting a new one. She told me that I had to give my ex a new key, so I might as well give it to her to give to him, and I refused, saying that clearly my ex can't be trusted with my key, so he won't be getting one either. Since this conversation, I have had non-stop calls and messages from both my ex and his mother saying I need to give one of them a key because them not having access to the house means having to rely on me to give them access, and that I am making things extraordinarily difficult for the both of them. They say that they need to have a key for the reasons in the first paragraph, and I've said that they need to start letting me know when they'll be coming so I can let them in. They say that I am restricting access to the children as they'll now have to work to my schedule, but I checked and I'm well within my legal rights. Morally, however, I am unsure because technically speaking I am restricting access to the kids and making life harder for all of us over 2 incidents. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. My ex tried to keep a key to my home during divorce proceedings. I asked, in front of our lawyer, we had a fairly amicable divorce with mediation, if I could have his key back, and the lawyer just about lost it at him that he still had it. I and you are entitled to privacy in your home. He needs to organize collection and drop off of the boys through you in a way that suits you, but is still reasonable according to your parenting plan. My parents split when I was 3, trust me your boys will learn quickly not to forget important things. They should have doubles of some stuff, though for each home and essentials, like toothbrushes, underwear, a few extra pajamas. It's cut in stone legally with a custody agreement, then they definitely don't get free reign of the house. What if the boys go with grandma when you're unaware of a pickup? I'd be freaking out if I couldn't find my kid because grandma decided to spur of the moment do something. Not the idiot. Absolutely not the idiot. Custody agreements don't include mother-in-laws, and she has boundary issues. If anyone but your ex is picking up the kids, your ex is required to provide you with information prior, and you likely need to agree to it beforehand. Read your custody agreement for the details. Report these incidents to your attorney. Get them on the record, even if you decide not to pursue anything, make sure it's officially recorded somewhere. Your schedule is reasonable. She and he stepped out of bounds by continuing to enter your home without your permission. I've been married for 5 years, so this happened a while ago, but we are still dealing with the effects. My parents are pretty rich and like to help their kids, with strings attached. I am the youngest of 3, and they paid for both of my siblings' weddings and bought them houses, and I don't mean the down payment, they bought them outright. When I got engaged they offered to do the same and we were ecstatic. Now according to wedding tradition, the bride's mother gets the first choice of what color to wear. I'm not sure how much people follow that anymore, but my wife and mother-in-law thought it was important. I do feel like since my mom paid for the wedding, maybe she should have gotten the first pick, or they could have worn the same color because who really gives a crap. My mom and mother-in-law ended up wanting the same color. My wife stood by, that her mom gets to pick first, and my mom threw a tantrum and said she wasn't coming. She did back down on that, but my dad said he would not be buying us a house because we were disrespectful, and he said about not being able to get his money back for the wedding. My dad did give us the choice to have mother-in-law change her dress color and still get a house, but my wife stood firm and I supported her because I wanted to start the marriage as a united front. My parents acted like idiots at the wedding and sulked the entire time. Now I'm not going to excuse it, but my mom has literally never been told no before, or at least never had anyone hold firm on the no if she screamed and cried. My grandfather was the type of parent who would fire nannies for disciplining her, and he created a monster. My dad loves to enable said monster. I do think her behavior screwed, but to me, it wasn't worth losing a house over. My wife and I are talking about trying for our first kid, though she knows I would like to be in a house by the time they are born, and we don't know if that is going to happen. I told her that honestly, she made the wrong decision, and I resent that we have to live with it. My mom acted like a drama queen, but she did pay for the wedding, and I wish we let her wear the dress, because I hate living in an apartment while my siblings have gorgeous houses. My wife got mad and said that I should be apologetic to her because they are my parents, and that I should have kept that to myself. Everyone's the idiot here. Your parents for trying to control you with money, but honestly it is their money and they can do whatever they want with it. If they want to be idiots, then they can go ahead. You should not feel entitled to a house just because your siblings got one. Your siblings kissed your parents back while you stood up to them. You for trying to change the narrative on your wife. On one hand, you say you stood firm with your wife and presented a united front, then tell her that she made the wrong decision. Stand by your decision and support your spouse. You're the idiot here. You're not an idiot for telling your wife how you feel, but you back the decision. You can't pretend to support a decision to start on a united front if you're then going to turn around and claim you had nothing to do with it. You had your choice of how to deal with the situation at the time, and it seems like you chose wrong. That's as much on you as it is on your wife. Also, your parents crew absolute hardcore, but I didn't want to use everyone's the idiot here because your wife seems okay. I'm going against the grain here. Not the idiot, OP. You sound like you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. You were in a lose-lose situation. Sounds like people around you do not know how to compromise. If I were you, I would be resentful too. So your feelings are valid. It's a bit worrying your wife has no empathy at all. I am disgusted your wife would let your parents pay for the wedding and still chose to disrespect, probably not the best choice of word here, them over a stupid tradition. To me, that's a huge red flag. I, 25, been engaged to my fiancé, 30, for 5 months now. Ever since I moved in with him, I've been having an issue about him making a mess around the place and not cleaning up afterwards. For example, he'd come home from work, sits on the couch, and throws his dirty socks on the coffee table. He'd eat a sandwich while moving around spreading bread on the floor. He'd make a mess whenever he goes into the kitchen to cook something. I ended up handling everything in the kitchen. He'd constantly lose my stuff, and I'd just give him simple tasks so he won't screw up. 2 days ago, he said he was having his friends over for lunch. He said that those were formal friends that he has a professional relationship with at work and asked if I could clean up the living room before they show up. The thing is I had work to do. I told him that I'd do my best to try to get off work 2 hours earlier to clean up since he'll be bringing them with him from work. Unfortunately, I couldn't leave work early as there were a number of co-workers who didn't show up, so I had to cover more hours and I ended up getting off work at 7. I tried to call him several times, even left him a text, but I got no response. I got home at 7 p.m. I found him playing video games. He gave me an angry stare and said that he brought his friends over and was embarrassed by the mess that I didn't clean up because I thought work was more important than him and that he had to take them to the restaurant after barely sitting in the filthy living room for 30 minutes and said that his friends were uncomfortable and he felt embarrassed. I explained that I had work and that he shouldn't have made a mess then expect me to clean up then get angry that I didn't. He argued with me that he counted on me and I let him down and embarrassed him that now they'll badmouth him and talk behind his back about how filthy his place was. I yelled at him to stop blaming me and told him that it wasn't my fault my co-workers put more work hours on my timeline. He said that apparently I'm being taken advantage of at work and that I'm happy and okay with it. He said he wanted to stay at a friend's house because the place was filthy and he couldn't stand it. I try to call him to discuss this, but he keeps his line busy and sends me texts saying he's busy. I should mention that, whenever I talk to him about doing cleaning himself, he'd say he doesn't know how and that cleaning isn't his thing. Not the idiot. Do not marry this man, or at least postpone the wedding until y'all have had time to go to therapy. He will never learn how to clean if you do not insist on him doing it, and perhaps it will be necessary for a neutral third party to insist on it too. He will always argue with you about doing it if you don't deal with this problem. He doesn't respect you, or he would respect your home together. He thinks you're his maid, not his future wife. Do not let yourself accept this situation, you deserve better. Not the idiot. You told him you try to do something, but you have your own work and responsibilities. If he is inviting professional people over, he should have taken care to clean the house the day before. Or pay for someone to do it while you are both out of the house. The fact that you texted him and he still took people back makes me feel like he thinks he can take advantage of you. I find it hard to believe he didn't get any of your messages. He either didn't get it or got them but thought you jumped through hoops for him because he asked you to. Not the idiot. He is setting you up by leaving to go stay at his friend's house. He is betting on you getting upset, possibly scared, and cleaning the house all sparkly and shiny like a good little woman. I wouldn't do it. I would tidy up my own mess, at the most. If you clean up the entire house after this tantrum is his, it is just going to get worse from there. When he gets home from his friends, you need to have talked with him. Your work and job are just as important as his. There is no reason or excuse he cannot clean. Cleaning can become his thing. My friend Jason, white and doesn't know Japanese, just got a new tattoo. He's been looking forward to his first ever ink for a while and did a lot of research on the price, style, and local artists. He kept the design a surprise from everyone because he didn't want any negative input before he got it on his body, permanently. I mean, maybe that was a huge misstep. Just saying. Fast forward to a few days ago, he went in for the session and told me that I'd love it. I'm Asian and fluent in Japanese. I thought maybe he was going to get a tattoo of a manga character or something. He sent me a picture of his tattoo when he was done and captioned it with a question, "Do you know what it means?" I honestly thought it was a joke at first and replied, "Haha, you got me, that's a good one." He called me right away and asked me in a panicked voice what I had meant. I told him the characters meant free, as in a free food sample. He started to cry on the phone and said it's already been a freaking hard year and I just made it even worse for him. He thought it meant freedom. He hung up the phone and hasn't answered my texts or phone calls since. Well, freedom isn't even remotely close to what he got. And what's up with these stupid tattoos anyway? Just why? Can someone explain to me please? Thank you. So, am I the idiot in this situation? Not the idiot. You did him a favor. Japanese character tattoos were super big in the 90s and early aughts, and after a while, we all just assumed it meant beef with broccoli or something like that. If you didn't know precisely what it meant, don't get it freaking inked onto your body permanently. That it meant free as in free food is Kiss's fingertips, a perfect example of why the Asian character tattoos are stupid for people who don't know the language. As a Gaijin who was married to a Japanese woman for a long time, has 2 Hafu kids, and knows the land of the origin of the sun very well. For all of the laughing we do about kanji tattoo fails, and there are plenty of epic ones, this is a two-way street. Your average Japanese person doesn't speak a word of English, and they love tats. Just Google English tattoo fail, it's a rabbit hole of fun. Things like Metallica. Nothing else matters. Good times. When I was 18, 20 years ago, I got a Chinese symbol tattooed. It was supposed to mean fighter because I liked the Christina Aguilera song back then. Yeah, I was lame. But some Chinese people I have met told me it means to shoot a gun or something. I happen to marry a Chinese man too, and his dad is too polite to say about it. Your friend must be so embarrassed, but he could have checked with you first so you could confirm its meaning. I can laugh about it now and wish I could remove it. Stupid white people trends. Hey all, I haven't talked to my boyfriend yet because I just want to know if I'm genuinely in the right. Ever since I met my boyfriend, he has had a giant 125 gallons freshwater tank. It was beautiful and I loved it. Eventually, I moved in with him due to some unforeseen circumstances. And that's where the trouble began. I started to notice a ton of mosquitoes, and being the absolute delicacy I am to them, I got relentlessly eaten up by those tiny monsters. Every day, there was no end to my suffering inside. I always told him to please do something with his tank, because with no windows or doors open, how else do mosquitoes get into a house? Especially with the time of year, it was early January to late February, but all I was met with is well they never bite me, which kinda blew me away, because how can you just be so passive of that? He just told me to wear long sleeves or always cover up to not get bit. Thanks, babe. So fast forward to late February. We get an apartment together. Great, right? Wrong. He brings his fish tank. Which I'm okay with because at this point I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt, and guess what starts showing up? Those freaking mosquitoes. God, I hate them so much. I try to kill them when I see them but to no avail. They just keep coming. To me, there is absolutely no reason we should be having a mosquito problem in an apartment unless it already came like that, in which case yeet. But they started showing up about a week or two after the tank was brought in. I'm being eaten up left and right, and needless to say I'm tired of it. As much as I want to encourage my boyfriend to pursue his hobbies and have fun with me, it's going to come with some responsibility. He might not be getting eaten up, but I am also pregnant. Not sure if that really changes anything, but it concerns me. I'm tired of him being so passive of the issue, and if it keeps up, I'm more than inclined to ask him to get rid of his tank and its demon spawn of mosquitoes. Would I be in the wrong? I don't know what else to do if all I met with is passive excuses. You would not be the idiot, but I suggest trying a few things first. Can you put the tank somewhere else for a few days to determine that the tank is definitely the problem? And if it is, can you work together to research ways to prevent the problem first? If he doesn't help you do this, then he's an idiot. If truly nothing works, then go for the nuclear option, but not before. I'd also add that his lack of concern is, well, concerning. Not only are you his girlfriend, but you're the mother of his child, and you need to be able to sleep well and be comfortable in your own home. Not the idiot, but there's something going on here. I've had multiple fish tanks for years in my room and never had an issue with mosquitoes. Either the tank is not set up properly and has stagnant water, hence the mosquitoes, or something else is causing it. If the tank is breeding mosquitoes, you should be able to see the larvae. Anyway, highly not the idiot, mosquitoes transmit diseases, it's dangerous and unhealthy to have them breeding in your home. Not the idiot. He's not taking care of the tank like he should. What type of fish is he raising? Most fish don't, especially like the still stagnant water that mosquito larvae propagate best in. I would suggest finding a product called mosquito dunks or mosquito bits. I've been using their donuts to treat my parents' courtyard pond for years. They're granulated Bacillus thuringiensis, which produces spores toxic to mosquito, black fly, and fungus gnat larvae while being safe for fish, pets, and vegetation.